You guys know that one of my favorite niche brands is Mancera, mainly because they're by far at least one of the most affordable niche brands that you can acquire. You know, their retail pricing is already the most affordable, but we're looking at discounter pricing. A lot of these you can get for just under $100 for 120 ml full presentation. That is unheard of for niche fragrances. In fact, these are cheaper than a lot of designer fragrances out there these days, even at discounters, which is pretty crazy. And so what I wanted to do is compile a list of 10 of my personal favorites from the brand of Mancera. And I've talked about a few of these a lot, a couple of these maybe not so much, and we've also got some that are newer, some that are older, like, you know, classics that have been out for a really long time. We've just got a wide mix, but all of these, at least to me, are amazing and they're worth checking out. Not only is Mancera, you know, a pretty affordable brand, but a lot of their stuff is going to be more entry level too. So as far as going out there and testing these out or even blind buying these, you're less likely to run into an issue where you stumble across something that is so extreme and so out there that you end up hating it. They've got a few like that, but the ones in this video are really, really likable and super easy to dive into. So we're going to start at the bottom of the list at number 10 and work our way up. Again, these are all in here for a reason. They're all amazing, but if we are kind of putting them in order, you know, you have to rank them somewhere. And this first one that we're starting out with is an older one. It's been out for quite a while. I've had my bottle forever. It is Mancera Lemon Lime. Okay, not lemon lime, lemon lime, although you do pick up on this lime accord and a whole bunch of lemon. Sour, punchy lemon in here. And this stuff it's a citrus bomb. It smells like those lemon drop candies that maybe you remember, or like a really sour pitcher of lemonade or something. It is very authentic smelling. And this one, you could tell, is old because of this right here, okay? This is back when you had to unscrew the cap to open them up. Now they all have magnetic caps these days, but yeah, this stuff has been around in my collection for a while. And there's nothing really about this one that is necessarily mind-blowing, okay? It doesn't have a ton of depth or a ton of richness going on past that lemon drop smell. So that's basically what this one's all about from start to finish. It's bright, it's fresh, it's great for those really hot spring, summer days when you just want something that smells like summer. At number 9, we have Soleil d'Italy. Okay, this one is a 2019 release, I believe, so it's not new, but it's not the oldest either. It's been around for long enough to where if it was going to get popular and going to get hyped up, it would have happened by now, but it never did. This one's got lime, bergamot, orange, watery notes, and a ton of other notes as well, mostly being citruses. You get some musk in here as well, some light woods, but it's mostly the citrus. Man, this stuff smells beautiful. It is a wonderful summer-based, kind of fresh, easygoing, uplifting type of scent. There's nothing to dislike about this one, truly. I think this could easily be a safe, everyday wear, signature scent type of scent for the warmer times of the year, hands down. It could go a little bit formal, could also go very casual as well. I mean, this stuff really could do about anything. It's an eau de parfum like all of these are, except for maybe one or two. We'll get to those in a second, but it's got good performance too, and that's the other thing. You know, even their fresher offerings, you know, citrus-based scents that you would think wouldn't last that long, they end up lasting long from Mancera. So I think that's another cool thing about them is that, you know, their scents aren't weak sauce either. You know, they're coming in at an eau de parfum at the minimum, and for the most part, they all have great performance, and this one is no exception. It's another one that is just kind of a no-brainer, especially at the cost that it goes for. You know, I think around $80 to $90 or something. Number 8, we have Aoud Lemon Mint. So we're kind of sticking to the summery scents right now, but that will change a little. There's, you know, some winter-based scents that we'll get to in a bit, but given the time of year and just kind of what I'm into right now, I'm kind of gravitating more towards some of the fresher ones. But this one actually, while it sounds like it's going to be as fresh and bright as Lemon Lime or Soleil d'Italy, it's not actually. This actually has a bit more of a sweetness, a bit more of a heaviness from the oud, because you do actually pick up on that oud here. It's not just in the name. it's prominent, okay? And it's this is gonna be one that might throw some people off, because with a name like Lemon Mint, you're expecting it to be super lemon and minty. And there is a green touch, and there definitely is some lemon, but there's plenty of woods going on as well, giving it that sweetness that I was talking about. So I actually see this more as like a spring, early summer scent, great for fall. You could even wear this one in the winter, even though it doesn't sound and look like a winter scent, you know, with that really cool looking blue, green, yellow gradient there. It definitely could work and could hold up. This is one where I'm just kind of avoiding the extreme heat, basically. So, you know, your July, August, super hot, humid times of the year, but I think especially spring is a really good time for this one, just because you have those temperature swings where it's cold in the morning, kind of warm in the afternoon, not hot, but warm, and then cold in the evening again. Kind of can go through those phases, and this one has what it takes to hold up to that. And I still really like this one. It's super popular, has been for several years for good reason. At number 7, we have Vetiver Sensuel. You know, I think pretty much every brand, designer or niche, has kind of a standalone vetiver-based scent, and they all go about it in a different way. Some of the vetiver fragrances are going to be a little bit more soapy and clean. Others are going to be a little bit more earthy and strong. It just depends. I mean, there's so many different forms of vetiver and so many different ways you could approach it. In the case of Vetiver Sensuel, this one's on the brighter, fresher, soapier side of things. So this is still kind of going back to more of that spring, summer trend that we've been looking at here with these selections. Although I will say that this one isn't necessarily overly comparable to some other vetiver-based fragrances out there, some popular ones. Like, it doesn't smell like Gray Vetiver or Guerlain Vetiver or Roja Vetiver, or really insert your favorite vetiver. It doesn't really do anything like that. Instead, it kind of turned its own page, so to speak. It's kind of their own take on a vetiver-based scent. I will say that I do enjoy the vetiver that they're using in here. It does have a nice bite to it, a nice punch. If I did have to compare it to a vetiver from a certain fragrance, it would be more along the lines of maybe a Terre d'Hermès Eau Intense vetiver type of smell, which has the perfect blend of kind of a soapiness, but then also kind of a woody earthiness as well. That's kind of how I would look at this one. Whereas something like a Tom Ford Gray Vetiver, pretty much soapiness all the way through. It's yet another, you know, hit release from Mancera. I don't mean that in the way like, oh, it's super popular. I just mean it's another fantastic fragrance. It's another great release that just does a little bit of everything very well. This could be yet another signature scent, everyday wear for any time of the year. And, you know, I'm saying that about a niche brand, but remember the prices that these go for, you know, anywhere, some of these $70, $80, $90. You know, I've even seen some testers into the low mid 60s before, and even I think in the mid 50s if you're really digging and you find a really good deal. But I mean, you can just oftentimes get these for such good prices. And so when you look at it that way, yeah, this could be a signature scent. You know, this is cheaper than some designer scents out there. Number 6, we have Amberful. This is a little bit of a newer one, and I really wasn't sure what to think going into it. I tried it out and I was like, you know, when I look at the bottle, it kind of has that instant crush looking gradient. And so I tried it kind of expecting something similar to that for some reason, and it's nothing at all like that. Talk about being the complete opposite to something like Instant Crush, which does have kind of that somewhat amberwood fuzziness, but then also has a ton of sweetness as well. This one has a very fresh ambroxan amberwood forward smell. It is musky. It is amber heavy. It is predominantly fresh. It's something that, let me put it this way. It's not overly unique, but at the same time, I haven't smelled any other fragrances that utilize amberwood as the main kind of driving note in the way that this one does. And so that on its own kind of makes it stand out. Another great performer here coming in at an eau de parfum. Highly recommend you check this one out if you just want kind of a bit of a different take on, you know, an amberwood forward scent. I do really like this one. It just has kind of a modern, musky freshness that works really well, especially with kind of the trends that we're in right now. Breaking into the top 5, we have Intense Red Tobacco. So this one's an extrait concentration, you know, full pure parfum. Does it need to be? Probably not. So you could easily substitute in red tobacco, the original Eau de Parfum. At this point, with the price differentiation being negligible, you know, they're pretty close now. Kind of just take your pick. You know, if you don't have either of them, maybe just go for the Intense. But if you already have the Eau de Parfum, you probably don't need to just go out and buy this one unless you just have to have it. But, you know, for most, I think pretty much everybody, the original EDP is plenty strong enough already. Of course, being a collector and making videos, I had to buy it because I had to see, is this going to be pretty much exactly the same as red tobacco, just stronger, or are they tweaking the scent, you know, the actual smell? And I could say that it's the former. It smells almost exactly the same. It's just yet somehow even stronger, where the original is already super strong to begin with. I think you guys mostly know about red tobacco. It's a pretty popular one. Red pipe tobacco with a fair amount of oud in here, okay? Some patchouli as well, bit of a kind of a smoky blend with that tobacco patchouli going on. Rich, strong, powerful smelling, high quality. This is going to be one where maybe a little bit more risky. Blind buy on this is going to be a trickier situation, whereas most of these others are pretty much blind buy safe. I would be cautious of this one if you don't know what you're getting yourself into. At number 4, we have Cosmic Pepper. So changing gears completely here, going from something that's kind of risky to something that everybody's gonna like. You know, this is a peppery, smooth, kind of creamy, fresh meets sweet type of blend like I've talked about. Now, definitely more fresh than sweet. Okay, but the way I've described this one is it's got almost like that Chanel Allure Homme Sport Extreme type of creaminess in the dry down. So that has, you know, that tonka bean. It's got some of the orange, minty freshness, some of the C notes a little bit, the same with Allure Homme Sport. So it kind of like blends those two together, but then throws in a nice peppery, spicy note off the opening. That's kind of what I get out of this one. It's just a mixture, a little bit fresh, a little bit sweet, a little bit bright, but then also that's kind of muffled by some of the kind of more powdery, dusty notes that this one has. Ultimately, though, what does that mean? It is incredibly wearable. I mean, you could wear this stuff for anything, any time of the year, just like a lot of these. I think I mentioned it already, but this one is a newer release as of the past couple of years, and I took to this one immediately. It was an instant hit. I loved it right away, and I think a lot of it is because I love those other fragrances that I kind of reference it against so much. You know, I really love how those smell, and I just love how they come across, and this one kind of reminds me of that style a little bit, just with a bit of a twist, and so I like it for that reason. You know, you're also talking about something that is affordable. It's an Eau de Parfum with really good performance. I mean, this is stronger than Chanel Allure Homme Sport and Eau Extreme. It just is, you know. And so that's another thing that I like about it. It's just a real nice take on that type of style. At number 3, we have Tonka Cola by Mancera. No surprise here. You've got this kind of Coca-Cola fizzy note. You get quite a bit of cinnamon in here. Of course, tonka bean. What does this one remind people of? Well, I think it kind of reminds people of Roja Enigma or Creation E. And, you know, like I've always said, it takes a page out of that book, but then still very much does its own thing. This doesn't have that booziness that Enigma has. It doesn't have the same level of maturity and class that Enigma has. Some people have said that Creation E, Enigma, kind of has an older smell to it, like a more mature smell, whereas this one I don't really see to be the case. I find this to be more wearable, more versatile, more probably appealing to a wider variety of people than something like Creation E. That's kind of how I look at it. And yes, you know, crazy as it sounds, it does have that kind of spicy Coca-Cola fizzy type of smell to it. So does Creation E. That's kind of one thing you've heard people say about that stuff. It just has this bubbly nature. This one does too. So they did that really well, and it does smell amazing. It's definitely one of my favorites from the brand, and this is going to be more cooler weather leaning. Sticking with that trend, more of a cooler weather style scent, we have a newer release. It's Amore Caffe. This one has coffee, amaretto, and brown sugar. What a beauty. And I knew I was going to like it as soon as it was announced. As soon as I saw the name, That was enough already, the name and the coloration, but then also, of course, taking a further look at the note breakdown, that sealed the deal, but I just knew, right? This is right up my alley. I love these gourmand, sweet, coffee-based scents. This one is done to absolute perfection. It almost smells like something from the brand of Killian. You know, they're really, really good, and they're really known for their kind of gourmand, coffee, chocolatey style scents, boozy fragrances especially. This kind of could really compete with some of those in my opinion. It is that good. We got another eau de parfum. It's 120 ml. It's been out on discounters for a while now, so that price has come down to a more reasonable amount, usually just right around a touch over $100. So that's still a bit new, still a little bit popular. As time goes on, this one will dip below that $100 price point, but it's right there on the line right now. And last up for this video, it hasn't been featured yet, so of course here it is. You know, I'm sure you've been waiting for it. Intense Cedrat Boise. The original Cedrat Boisi is amazing, okay? Kind of similar thing to red tobacco. If you already have the original Cedrat Boisi, this might not be necessary to just go out and get. However, if you don't have either, get the Intense and be done with it. You don't need to have both, right? Unless you're somebody who has the eau de parfum and you just don't get good performance out of it and you want something more, then this might make sense. But if you're just starting out and you're only getting one, get the Intense and you're gonna be set. You're paying a little more, but it's not even a lot. This is still under $100. Good deals and testers and unboxed deals come up all the time. The price is so close that shouldn't be the deciding factor. It should just be get the Intense, because what little bit more you might spend, it more than makes up for it in the performance and just blend improvements that they have made in this version. Super, super strong performer, of course. Straight full parfum. It is a sweet, fruity, woody scent. People compare it to a Ventus. It's just like what I said with Tonka Cola. Maybe taking a page out of that book, but then very much doing its own thing. This is not, and I repeat, this is not a Creed Aventus clone. It just isn't close enough. There are plenty out there. This one isn't it. You would be disappointed if you bought this with the intentions of getting a Creed Aventus clone. However, when you look at this one on its own, it is by far one of the very best from Mancera, one of the best affordable niche fragrances you can buy. The versatility is unmatched. The compliment factor is unmatched. The performance is next level. Intense Cedrat Boisi is a winner that every guy should have. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some of the best Mancera fragrances ranked from 10 to 1. I was gonna say best to worst, but none of these are bad. You know, they're all really, really good. I'll link everything down below in the description. That way you can get these at discounted prices that I've been referencing. Do not pay full retail for these. That kind of defeats the purpose. But even if you did, they're still cheaper than all the other niche out there at retail. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.